There are some philosophies out there that do certain things, like Jean-Paul Sartre, a philosopher, said, "You are what you do." Is that a permanent stain on you to do wrong things? Maybe not. Maybe you can be forgiven. But when you're a leader of a country and you say things like, government is a problem, not the solution, what does that really mean? That came from Ronald Reagan. I talked about this before. It's about representation through a democracy, if it's government. If it's not government, it's ownership of the people by one or two people or a few people, like a monarchy, like Saudi Arabia. Or tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are. If you are for your fellow man, the Christian ethic, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, that's a noble thing. But if you only say that and you act another way, then you're a hypocrite. I know a minister who refers to himself not as father, not as minister, as brother. His brother Williams is. I talked about him in a previous show. He goes by the name of brother because he refers to the Sermon on the Mount that Christ talked about. Our Father who art in heaven. Our, not my Father who art in heaven. Christ's own words. Yet people who say they follow Christ, want to change his words to, oh, he's the only Son of God. Oh, you got to believe that because, after all, he couldn't be based sacrifice for it. He died on the cross and all that. But he said, no, no, our Father, not my Father. Ignore that. Ignore that, you real Christians, you evangelicals, you born agains. You ignore that. Please ignore that. And then you have a leader come along and says, government's a problem. Get rid of it. Following Reagan came along with Newt Gingrich, who said, let it die on the vine, meaning Social Security, all the things that benefit poor people, elderly, and so forth. Why did those things come about? Why did Social Security come about? Why did Medicare come about? To help elderly people, helpless people like children, helping the poor, helping. And people get old, they get poor, even though they think they have money. Very often they don't have enough, and they become poor pretty easily. And people are predators wanting to steal from them. There's sharks out there to steal from the elderly, do one to others. Society protects elderly people through Social Security and Medicare. Should protect more people than that, but they don't. We are what we do, and that's Jean-Paul Sartre. I mentioned him before. So when you see somebody say one thing and do something else, people tend to call those people liars. But when somebody says get rid of government and they do it, they mean it. They're not liars. They're going to destroy the government that helps the least able among us, the elderly. That's what they're talking about. The Social Security, the Medicare, other things as well. What did Trump try to do before he left office? He suspended payment to the FICA, which is the tax that pays into Social Security. He suspended it, and you didn't have to pay it up until he left office. Now you have to pay it again. What would that do? That would wipe out the money and support for Social Security. And within a couple of years, based on that, if it lasted and if he had won his second term, Social Security would be gone. So the people living on $100 a month or $500 a month or $1,000 a month even would be destitute if that's all they had. And many people only have Social Security and Medicare, many of the elderly. That would be gone. So it's an attack on the support of people who have no one else but themselves. Some people living alone, no family members. Um, People have family members who are elderly and have no pension plan, but just have Social Security. They're pretty stressed. They may own their house, but they still have to pay the taxes on the house and the insurance and things like that. And they're under a struggle. And people who are younger ignore that. You got a grandfather, grandmother, an old aunt, whatever. They're living on Social Security. they become broke or it's taken away from them, you're going to go take care of your aunt or your grandmother. You're going to do that. You can really help them out. Your dad, who's living on Social Security, suddenly it's gone. Trump would have killed it off had he had another term. He would have killed it based on what he did. You are what you do. Tell me who your friends are. I'll tell you who you are. MBS. Mohammed bin Salman is a friend of Donald Trump. Monstrous murder. He killed millions of people to this moment by bombing the people in Yemen, starving them because they won't accept a Sunni leader in their country. They kicked out a monarch from Yemen. And now they've been starving. Their children are starving by the hundreds of thousands. This Mohammed bin Salman, friend of Donald Trump, is doing that by himself. He's the government. No democratic government, no institution, no swamp. Just Mohammed bin Salman doing this to people who disagree with him and don't want his kind of leadership in the country of Yemen. That's who Donald Trump made friends with many phone calls, and excused him for the murder of Khashoggi, the journalist from the Washington Post, who was chopped into pieces at the order, and now it's been proven that he did this under the order of Donald Trump. Make America great again in the eyes of the world. Tell people to attack the Capitol and tear it down. Hang Mike Pence. Hang Nancy Pelosi. This is a leader who's like, guess who? Mohammed bin Salman, his buddy. This is when Donald Trump looked to me like the best friend of MBS, the head of Saudi Arabia, the most evil of evil. Tell me who her friends are, I'll tell you who you are. Unfortunately, you're friends with Donald Trump. Sorry about that, folks. It's not a pleasant story, but it's real and it's not made up. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again.